Okay, our panel discussion topic is exploring inner wisdom to evolve personal and work paradigm towards organizational resilience and sustainability. And it's my pleasure to introduce the panelists. Mrs. Lim Teo Keng is the founder of Chateau, brewer of artisan craft kombucha and cold brew tea. She was previously a country director and CEO with Western Union Business Solutions and head of business development and relationship management at Travelex before she turned into a homemaker and subsequently started Chateau in August 2020. You see, some people use the time of crisis for new opportunities. Mr. Thomas Varghese is the business head and of the domestic textiles, oversees shipping and acrylic fiber business of the Aditya Birla Group's textile business. He has been with the company for the last 21 years, holding multiple positions across businesses. He joined Grasim Industries in 1999 as Chief Marketing Officer for Grasim Pulp and Fiber business and has been instrumental in leading his team to assume a leadership position in the global VSF scenario. In February 2012, he was conferred to CEO of the Year by the Asian Retail Congress in Mumbai. He is also an ICA certified coach. Mr. Gary Vaughan founded Mindspan in 2006 after a robust corporate career with DuPont, advocating that human beings should take full control of their destiny and everyone can achieve success through initiative, drive, and generosity, IDAG. Gary follows his heart and embraces the extraordinary power of dream and purpose. He declares that most people use only a fraction of the potential and stands to be a catalyst for leaders and people to express their full capabilities and reach their greatest success. Mr. Julius Ardenas, MCC, Master Certified Coach, is the president and owner of Benchmark Consulting. He is a pioneering coaching expert in the Philippines with 20 years of solid experience in executive coaching, leadership development, team development, and organizational development. He was the president of APAC in 2015-2017 and the founder of ICF Philippines chapter. He coaches executives, leaders, and high potential individuals to either accelerate the personal and professional growth, sharpen their capacities to lead and grow people, or seek more meaning and fulfillment in what they do. Mr. David Gill is the head of operations for the Swatch manufacturing brand. He is also overseeing the product development as part of global design for manufacturing approach. He has been with the Swatch Group for the last 16 years, holding multiple positions across businesses. He first joined the automotive branch in 2004 as a project manager for the operations in China, Zhuhai. After 8 years spent in Malaysia, heading the manufacturing department at Micromechanics, IPO, he joined ETA SA headquarters in Switzerland in 2012 as a senior manager. At the end of 2017, he became a plant manager looking after the assembly of the Swatch brand as well as 2 key watchmaking activities. By the end of 2019, he took over the position he occupies now. Mr. Edwin Tan is the Director of Operations at Bonanza Venture Holdings, a privately held family company in Malaysia with interest in property development, golf resort, automotive distribution, education, and social businesses. He started his career with the same group in 1999 as a project executive in cement operations before progressing to business operations of the lime plant and RCI Berhad. After that, he was promoted to business development and BVH in 2003 and was instrumental in the growing the group's education business under the brand Tenbe from 150 to 5,000 students with a network of 7 schools. Impressive, isn't it? He was the director of operations at Tenby Schools. Then the group was sold to a private equity in 2014. He rejoined BVH as a group director of operations in 2018. So now I would like to welcome you all to panel discussion. Again, I remind the topic, exploring the inner wisdom to evolve personal and work paradigm towards organizational resilience and sustainability.
Thank you, Aigul. It's my pleasure to conduct the panel discussion. A warm welcome to all the panelists. I'm really sorry, and because we had to start a bit late because we had some emergent issues. And thank you so much for your patience. I'm going to start with the first question. We've all been through the pandemic, and today was an example of how life doesn't go the way we plan it. We think we'll go A, and well, God throws something else in our path, and we have to just make do with what we have. So the pandemic has brought its own challenges, and the past year has been different, to say the least. So I'd like to ask each of you stalwarts in your own businesses and fields to share with us, how you've gone through this past year, and what all have you all done to ensure that you and your organization is sustaining and thriving, in fact, during the various stages. I know for a fact that Gary has just completed a conference in China with over 250 participants. I get Julius's partnership with various international speakers. I know that all of you are really thriving in this scenario. So we would love to get some insights from you. Thank you. Anyone who feels free can start. Yeah. Before, I would also like to invite David Clutterbuck. I'm sorry, he came in a little bit and he's been very gracious. He's going to stay back for some time for the panel discussion. So David, yes, please share with us your insights too. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to do that first, or do you want to?
Anybody who wants to, who would like to go first? If David, if you want to, fine. If Julius, whoever.
I have limited time.
Yes, Gary wants to go.
I'm set aside for this. So this has been a wonderful experience in many ways, because it's brought people together. It's shown the best and the worst in people around the world, and that's a great thing. But I've been spending a lot of my time. Well, I was lucky, very lucky, because I'd just launched with Peter Hawkins, we'd launched together the Global Team Coaching Institute in March, just as the pandemic started. We had the largest ever training of coaches, team coaches, globally, beginning then. And so we've been preoccupied doing everything online. And I think for many of us in the field, we have been moving towards online delivery of training for some years. Particularly for climate change reasons, but also for cost reasons and other reasons. So there's a big move towards that. But around that, what I've seen is an enormous, I spend a lot of time with organizations, helping them to think through what happens afterwards. How do we hit the ground running and deal with some of the problems of being in a COVID environment? So one of the things we've seen is the last speaker was just talking about mental health issues. Mental health issues. Yeah, people's brains are affected by the isolation, and explorers or scientists in the Antarctic, they've done some experiments. They've measured the weight of their brains, and after several weeks in isolation, their brains actually shrink through lack of stimulation, through contact with other people. There are some big issues here, and so we've been using the models that we use to look at the complex adaptive systems of teams. The Peril model is one which I have, to help teams actually think about themselves and what they are, how they can move back into the new normal, whatever it looks like, in much better shape. So how do we actually organize our purpose? So this is a great time to rethink, what are we here for? Who cares? It's a great time to think about how we connect with our stakeholders and create new relationships with our stakeholders. It's a great time to build the quality of relationships by really showing interest in each other. It's a great time to look at the processes that we have, and actually share and explore, how do we make our internal processes better? It's a great time to look back and say, well, how prepared were we for this? How quickly did we learn from it? How do we need to learn faster in the future? And it's a great time to look at leadership. The old style of leadership, where the leader was there and watching everything you did, doesn't work anymore. People coming back into the workplace aren't going to be able aren't going to accept command and control anymore. And so we now have to move to more modern or more distributed kinds of leadership. And that means a radical shift in the team. And so it's a process of going from survival to revival to thrival. And how do we do that? Then this is a great opportunity for teams across the world to actually remake themselves for the new world. And if they lose that opportunity, they'll get left behind. Yeah. And the coaches have an immense role to play in supporting them in the discussions and the conversations that make that happen. It's one of the biggest and most positive opportunities for coaches that we've seen in many times.
Thank you, David. Thomas? Thomas, you're on mute. Thomas, you're on mute.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Firstly, very privileged to be here with all of you. And I'm also on a tight schedule today because the timings have changed. But to begin with, I think the pandemic has totally changed life as we know it. You had virtually the whole planet Earth coming to a standstill for a few months. So one of the things that we've done, one is we've tried to communicate a lot with our teams. I lead a multi-country operations, 7 countries, almost 16,000 employees, and we've been communicating with people. So first is, we wanted people to get comfortable with significant uncertainty and widespread ambiguity. It's not easy, but it's something which is going to be a critical skill going forward. I think we've pivoted and learned, and as we have gone along, and we've accepted that in the march towards getting some of the solutions right, we may make mistakes, and I think that's fine. But we need to learn to operate in the new normal. One of is the safety of our employees and their families. I think that's been the cornerstone of our approach towards managing ambiguity, managing the uncertainty, managing the mental illness issues, depression, and all that has gone with the pandemic, as we just heard from the earlier speaker. One of the things we have tried to do is to ensure that learning and development has taken a big fillip. And I think it has been incredible that thanks to the modern technology, thanks to latest IT connectivity, working from home has been seamlessly achieved across such a large business, even like ours. And it's been incredible to see how people have shifted gears and started working as effectively and as seamlessly from home as they would do from the office. So definitely, as many people have said, the new world and the new normal will definitely be very different. And there will be enormous opportunities going ahead for new ways of life, for technological advances, and of course, huge role of digital in the coming years. One of the other things that we have said is that you know, in the new normal, it's very important to be agile and to be quick to respond. And agility as a skill is something which we are trying to build. And resilience is something which is absolutely crucial in a situation like this. So, working with hope and a lot of optimism and ensuring that mistakes will be made in the way going forward, and ensuring that our people remain resilient through these tough times are some of the things that we have tried to sort of promote. And very importantly, I think one of the things that happens in situations like this is the fact that, you know, people start over imagining, and I think uh, that's something we should sort of try and address and mitigate, because it leads to a lot of anxiety and stress. And I think coming back to as normal an operation as is possible under the circumstances is crucial, while keeping safety of employees and their families and all their loved ones clearly in mind. So I think this is the way we've dealt with the pandemic, and I'm happy to say that in a matter of 6-7 months, we have bounced back almost across the world. And while we are not still back to pre-pandemic numbers in our businesses, but we are very confident that we will get there. And I think most importantly is the communications with our employees, the assurances to our employees, the support to our employees in the current situation that has helped keep the morale up and has also, in a sense, addressed a lot of anxieties of people. I think I cannot overemphasize the importance of communication in a situation like this. So I think we've done reasonably well in managing the crisis, and of course we are also preparing very meticulously for the new normal ahead, where we feel that learning and development, reskilling of our employees, ensuring that people who have over delivered during these periods are recognized and encouraged. So I think all these have been part and parcel of the initiatives that we've taken at my business in the Aditya Birla Group. I hope what I've said makes some sense.
Dali, you're muted.
Julius, I said, thank you, Thomas. Thank you, Julius. Thank you, Thomas. And I love the part, Thomas, where you said we'll all make mistakes. And, you know, the new perfection is no perfection. So that's great. Julius, would you like to share?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
I was about to ask that I will be the next one to speak. Yeah, so let me tell you my story and the story of my company. So at the start of 2020, things were very promising. We had several contracts to deliver programs scheduled all throughout the year. We had won some big coaching projects, and there were several projects in the pipeline. But unfortunately, 90% of these contracts were canceled, as early as March, and all the prospects were gone. And, even if we have the remaining 10% to deliver, I knew for a fact that, we will incur losses and it's not going to sustain us. And so as someone leading this company, I had a lot of stress, and I had sleepless nights. But even with the thought that we had to survive, what we had in mind, on top of our minds, was to really extend help to those in need. And so as soon as the lockdown was implemented in March in the Philippines, we already mobilized our pool of trainers, our facilitators, consultants, and coaches. And we actually offered our coaching and training services for free. And staying true to our purpose and mission to bring out the best in people, especially in this time of crisis. And we thought that this is the time that our expertise is needed the most. And so at the height of chaos and crisis, we were training and coaching leaders how they can effectively lead their teams, equipping them with the ability to actually meet the requirements of the business and at the same time taking care of the needs of their people. We coach teams to be more cohesive given the work from home setup, and we trained employees to be mentally and emotionally tough given the crisis. And, you know, the rewards were remarkable. We never felt so satisfied. We found, you know, profound joy and fulfillment in what we did. And, you know, to date, we already delivered more than 500 hours of coaching and training. And
Wow.
we're not done yet. Actually, we're still doing it. And while we were delivering all these pro bono services, we were also addressing our internal struggles and challenges. We had to quickly, you know, change the way we think, innovate, and come up with new strategies so that we become relevant and value adding to our clients. We had to quickly redesign our training modules, create new ones that are timely and relevant, and, you know, come up with creative ways on how to best deliver them online. And talking about delivering trainings online, we were not very comfortable with it, but we had to quickly adjust. We had to also overcome our anxieties and fears, our own self-doubts that we may not be as effective compared to when we do it online, I mean face-to-face. And in fact, we had some training facilitators who were questioning themselves, who were feeling incompetent and irrelevant already because, you know, they started to doubt themselves if at all they can be as effective. And so we had to actually stay connected as a team. We had to help each other. We had to support, you know, each other in the team. We had to coach each other. And whenever we press our hot buttons, we had to immediately manage our emotions and shift. We had to quickly resolve our internal conflicts so that we are on the same page, you know, with the shared passion, with shared purpose, and with shared aspiration. And, you know, on top of all this, we also had to overcome our, you know, our own anxieties and fears over our health and safety and that of our families while trying to still perform at our very best. So that was really tough. I can say that it was mind-boggling, adrenaline pumping, and sometimes emotionally draining journey, but it was very transformative. It brought out the best in us, in each one of us in the team. And so after 9 months of, I can say, sleepless nights, 9 months of really trying our best to perform, I can say that we have triumphed and survived it all. And we are now more confident. Our self-doubts are gone. We are now more cohesive as a team. We are now more agile. And, you know, at first we were not very comfortable with online training. Now we're enjoying it. In fact, it created a lot of opportunities for us because number one, we develop a deeper level of connection with our participants. We develop a deeper level of listening and intuition that enables us to actually understand better the needs and situation of our clients. And with online training, with the online platform available, we were able to reach out to more people and we were able to make ourselves available to more people. And that actually presented us huge opportunities of reaching out to more paying clients. And on top of it all, you know, the act of giving is the most rewarding really, because it naturally energized us to give our best and to do more. And it naturally gave us opportunities. An example of which, for those companies that we offered pro bono coaching and training for, they eventually hired us to do more work for them, seeing the results of our work. And so, you know, again, it all paid off. And I can say that we have delivered, and we have actually delivered more than what we expected to deliver this year. It may not be as good as the previous years, but overall, given this time of pandemic, we went beyond our expectations, and we are poised to actually be stronger next year. And this actually makes us very excited and looking forward to the challenges ahead. And we know that there's certainty in times of uncertainty. We are certain that we will not just survive, but we will thrive.
Wow. Wow, Julius, what a fascinating story. And you know, when the chips are down, very few people think of actually giving to others. So what a role model actually. And yes, when you give, I think the universe gives you tenfold. So wonderful. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Gyo, are you?
Yes. Hi, well, first and foremost, thank you for having me here today. So I'm the founder of a local kombucha brand called Chateau. Kombucha, I'm sure to many of you, you're probably not familiar with what this is. Well, it's a fermented tea beverage that originated from China about 2,000 years ago. So it contains rich probiotics and it's great for one's gut's health. Now, prior to starting this business, I spent 20 years in the finance industry. So my last role was as the Singapore country director of a Fortune 500 company in the finance industry. Well, I left the company and industry in 2017 to become a full-time homemaker. So I took the last few years to reflect and to think, to frame a lifestyle that would suit my goals for the next decade. In the third quarter last year, and that's where we started planning to open a specialty tea bar. It's going to be serving trendy tea beverages like nitro tea, tea highballs, and kombucha. We also started to negotiate for a rental space in the Central Business District area when COVID hit this year in January, February time. And we were deep into the discussion. And well, it was truly a blessing in disguise that we have not signed the lease. So we knew that the circuit breaker could last many months. And we knew that with people's work arrangements changing, we won't be able to expect the same amount of human footfall in that retail shop space that we were looking at. So to be realistic, we came back and recalibrated. It left us thinking, I mean, do we wait out this pandemic before launching our brand? Or do we pivot even before we got started? So we decided on the latter. And we launched our brand and products online this year in August. We decided on a full online sales model. Therefore, we forego and the whole entire plan to have a physical shop front. While this also meant that certain products cannot be sold as they cannot be bottled. So we adapted. We relooked at our product list and decided on which to focus first. So we decided on a very high value one, which is kombucha, because it takes a long time and most people, and it's not readily available in the market as yet. But despite the complexity and uncertainty, we decided that it's a good time to go ahead to launch our brand. And people might ask, why? Well, there is a Chinese saying, I'm sure some of us would know, that says crisis times can present good business opportunities. So what we saw in the pandemic was that the circuit breaker was a great opportunity for our business in three ways. Firstly, online shopping adoption rate increased significantly out of necessity. Consumers became more receptive to buying everything online, while in fact, many traditional retail businesses were struggling to develop a digital offering in order to overcome the pandemic-induced disruptions and also address the shifts in customer behavior quick enough. Well, in this aspect, what I saw was that we were not disadvantaged because we were digital ready. And secondly, the circuit breaker was a great equalizer because consumers were staying home. They are not moving around. So the only way to market to them was through social media or the traditional media. This meant that the physical stores, the big brands with physical stores, didn't quite have a advantage because people were not walking over there. They were not in a great location. While small businesses like us, we could similarly leverage on the same social media platforms to reach out to our target audience. So it did save us costs. It did help us reach out to more target audience as well and put us on an equal footing with some of the big brands. Now, thirdly, there was a support local movement that started during the circuit breaker, and a lot of attention was given to small home-based businesses. People were searching out. Bloggers were featuring obscure, small, and home-based businesses. It was suddenly all right to be small. It was suddenly cool to be small, and that suited us perfectly. So although this pandemic brought on a lot of volatilities and much ambiguities to the business environment, looking on the bright side, to us, it has opened up lots of opportunities for us and to relook at our focus, how we can be more effective and efficient in using our resources. So it has been a good 3.5 months for us. We have shifted our focus onto subscription models. We have shifted our focus to giftings, and that has made our model more sustainable and business acquisition a lot more efficient as well. So that's my story for the pandemic.
Fantastic, York. I see courage there. Courage to make that move. And obviously, great timing, and you put in all the efforts that were required. Fantastic. I think, yes, courage is something that stays with me. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
David, Gary, William, who'd like to go? Yes, Gary? Yes, please.
Thank you, Donnie. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for having me to share my personal experience with you today. In our own case, before my sharing, a few words about Mindspan. We started in 2008, and today with over 500 coaches, we are probably the biggest executive coach network in Asia Pacific, serving more than 450 global and local companies, including 135 Fortune 500 companies in not only China, but also 17 other countries, including Japan, Korea, India, Australia, Thailand, Singapore, Malaysia. So all the major markets in Asia Pacific. So in our own case, things were quite ironic. We had our best year in history in 2019, and we were so excited about 2020. And we signed a ambitious contract and moved into a state-of-the-art office and became a neighbor to Huawei, where in the office park they have over 7,000 people. So we set a record high sales goal and encourage our team to strive for it. And I told people that if we can make the sales goal, we will go to celebrate it in New Zealand. And all of a sudden, China came the first place for the COVID breaking out. And literally, by the first week of February, all business and social activities came to a standstill. From that moment on, through April, we got no client requests. The experiences are pretty similar to what Julius has experienced. So while we have the fixed costs remained the same, but we did not have a business. And sales went down from 200,000 US per month to as little as 10,000 US. So as CEO of the company, I was obviously in a panic situation, and we watched the virus developments very closely, standing firm, doing the communication with the team, and putting up the financial resources, since we did not lay off anyone, and we did not get any allowance from the government, literally. So we told our team that we would weather this adversity together. So we waited, and we focused on making contact with clients as we should. So the good thing is that the God favored the willing and brave. And after the May 1 holiday, the facts have become obvious that the Chinese government had effectively brought COVID under control, and the market activities had picked up again, and we began talking and even meeting clients. So thanks to our calm and thanks to our strategy of engaging team, keeping team together, so we started to benefit from the reopening of the economy and stepped up our client interaction. So in the last 6 months, we managed to grow the business, to recover the business bit by bit. And so even though we still expect a 30% loss of sales, I think the business fundamentals have been very strong for us, with strong account receivable, strong contract signs, and a strong pipeline. All these things combined, we are expecting another record year in 2021. We not only survived, but also are in a position to have for our very best year ever. So the learning is to stay calm, to do the team communication, to keep the team intact in face of the crisis, and really focusing on the core, which is what is our relationship with the client and what is the need of the clients. So as long as we get this correct, as long as we do our homework, so we should be able to go back to the normal business as soon as possible, maybe sooner than the others. So this is my experience and learning from this pandemic situation.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you. And you bring alive the quote, "Together we can achieve a lot." And you resonate with what Thomas said, that communicate, because it makes such a big difference when you're the head of an organization. Wonderful.
Thank you, Donnie.
Edwin, would you like to share your story, please?
Yes, thank you. Thank you, APAC, for having me. My side of the story, because as mentioned earlier, our group actually have a few core businesses: real estate, hospitality, car dealership, and education. Of course, this pandemic has affected us in different business in different way, but I guess the most interesting one that I would like to share is our education business. Okay, we actually run we are based in Malaysia. We run K-12 international and private school. We run daycare, we run kindergarten, we run a learning center, okay, in Malaysia. So what happened was, of course, back in February or May, when this pandemic is happening in China, then it goes to Hong Kong and Singapore, and we see the developments there. We see schools starting to shut down. Okay, we already sort of got ourselves ready, okay, to prepare for the worst. And we have got all the online learning platform ready, teaching resources ready, okay, and we thought, okay, we can just switch over to online mode by like this. Okay, so it comes, yes, 18th of March. The government gave us 2 days notice on the 16th of March, telling us on the 18th of March, the whole country will be on the lockdown, and school has to stop. I mean, physically cannot go to school. So that is when we switched to online learning immediately, I mean, on the 18th. And because previously it was all planned, okay, we have everything, all the resources ready, but actually we actually didn't have much time to really run through it, okay, because we are just running a face-to-face school. Students are just coming to school as normal. But then when we switch to it, then we start to realize it is not as easy, okay, because to start with, of course, teachers, we have prepared them with the right tools and equipment and all the resources to teach. But the challenge actually is come from the student. Okay, are they prepared, or do they have the right attitude or space or equipment to learn at home? Do they have enough bandwidth? Because everybody's work at home, the parents need to work at home, the siblings need to study from home, so end up they don't have enough bandwidth. Okay, so a lot of things that starts to issue starts to comes up. Okay, but I guess what very good was again communication. Okay, we have constant communication with parents, with teachers. Okay, to get their feedback on how this online learning has been going on, and of course with the feedback we improve our learning process. Okay, we need to readjust the timetable and everything. Okay, so I think, to be fair, after a few weeks, I think the routines comes to uh, becomes a bit more stable and normal. And I would say after, say, like a few weeks or months, we managed to sort of teach effectively. Okay, so yeah, so that is one
Wonderful.
part of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think another part I would like to mention is also is the parental expectation. Okay, which is very difficult because we are a fees-paying school. Okay, so per parent pay school fees, expect for this kind of education, and of course, they also pay for the facilities of the school. But with this learning from home, your state of the art swimming pool, sports hall suddenly become irrelevant. Okay, so that is I think one of the things that we have done is also because some of the parents also, because of the pandemic, have going through some hardship. Okay, so to sort of continue the relationship, we also starting to give out fee reduction, okay, to parents, so they can, you know, to ease their financial burden, and at the same time continue with the school. Yep.
Thank you, Edwin. So what I'm getting is, one is, of course, adaptability and really understanding the needs and expectations of your customers. Those two have really taken you far. Thank you so much, Edwin. David, we're looking forward to hear from you now. David, you're on mute, David. Oh, yeah. You're on mute.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
Morning, everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me today. It's true that you know, all the testimonies highlighted the massive changes that we had in our habits. Well, from my standpoint, I would describe two main changes that we had. It's true that on the retail side, with everything locked down, we had nothing but the need of shifting, to e-com. And it's true that though it has been, for our conventional industry, the watchmaking, something that has been already been practiced for years, a need in these difficulties for us to adapt quickly to this response. We needed to launch new products. We needed to also get to communicate in a different way via social medias, via platforms which could relate retail to offer experiences, also introducing the digitalization also in our shops, and all this put together made it happen very quickly in a space of 2 to 3 months. So on that aspect, he was actually quite positive. But the main the main impact, obviously, we had was on operations, and as Thomas said earlier, our main concern, obviously, for us to continue operating, especially on production, on the production side, was to guarantee the safety of our employees. So obviously, we had to change completely our habits. We in Europe, we're not used to wear masks when people are sick, and all these aspects, setting up new flows, introducing new ways of containing the virus to sustain operation has been a struggle. But we had the opportunity also of getting the support from our employees in respecting, the rules that were set to guarantee the safety of all. And on that aspect, we had very minimal impacts, not having clusters created within our operations, and that helped a lot. The other aspect, obviously, for us was regarding the way people were communicating. Home office was not something common for us to use. Again, we come from a conventional background, and for operation, production planners, technical staff were always, at the plant operating, and having the need of doing it via the home office created a different kind of environment, which was obviously challenging at the beginning, but which revealed to be as effective as what we usually get used to at the factory. So on that aspect, he was actually also a success, though obviously he didn't happen from one day to the next. It took, of course, a learning curve to everyone to get used to this new way of operating. Communication also from different aspects has been challenging. Of course, people in this environment needed also to get information in a different way. So introducing new way of communicating via platforms online, or of course creating WhatsApp groups, to be able to communicate with the staff has always been has also been required. Getting people, who never actually had a smartphone to the need of having one to stay in touch and get the right information on time. All these aspects, of course, have been a change also in the people's habits and the way we work things out. So I would say that this shift was coming, and via this pandemic, at the end of the day, the impression I have is that it had the effect of speeding things up, and bringing us in a level of interaction which I believe is the one which would have been the one we'll have to integrate in the years to come. So I would say that in many aspects, of course, the pandemic has been tough on everyone, on businesses, on operations, but if you take a step back, because we've been in this for the past 8 months, I see a lot of positive interactions, changing boundaries also in the way we communicate, and we project ourselves when it comes to efficiency, which have been really positive.
Thank you, David. And that was an amazing story of action orientation and adaptability. So many success stories here, you know, and a reminder of a colleague of mine who, you know, who wanted to start a startup, and unfortunately for him, he decided to start in 2019. By March, he was all ready to, you know, kind of just with the first client go ahead, and well, the pandemic struck. His client backed off. He had to disband his team, and he was really doing badly. And then before you know, I get a message that he started catering, home catering, and now he's started a new business and he's doing very well. So, you know, success stories. I'd like you all to tell, you know, share with all of us, you know, what's the mindset that, you know, that you think brought you through to your success? What are some skills or competencies that you've seen in yourself, or maybe in your team members, some you know, your people who you know, which have made a difference, that they have been successful, they have come out of the pandemic smiling, stronger, resilient? So I would love to know, what do you think is that which made the difference?
So, and I think I'll go because
Yes,
I may
Thomas.
have to leave any
Yeah,
time.
please, Thomas. Yeah.
I think the first realization has to be that, you know, the mindset that you are now in a new reality. I think the realization that things are not the same, things are very different, and you got to cope with this new reality. I think that's the first thing that should seep in to people. We also need to understand that we now need people to create their own momentum, because there's a lot of self initiation when you're working from home. And I think that momentum which people create is going to be extremely crucial. And that's a very, very big paradigm shift in the new world. Be prepared and plan even for the unplanned. I think this is something which people will have to, you know, learn to deal with. And most of the time, you will have things thrown at you which you are not really aware of and which you did not expect. And therefore, planning for the unplanned is, you know, a lot of agility, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of innovation and out-of-box thinking is required. And I think being open to new ideas, particularly in the new world, where the learning is shifted from the way it was classically conducted in an organization, institution, or it's an organization with the hardcore operations, is very, very different. It's also very important that many people mentioned that in even such crises lie the seed of opportunity. So health and wealth ideas and have been numerous. Just to give an instance, we never used to make masks. I mean, we were basically an apparel producer or shirting or bottom weight fabric producer. We started making masks. And then when we had some extraordinary products which could actually counter SARS-CoV-2 antiviral you know, impact to the extent of 99%, and that too in a very short period of 10 to 14 seconds, we realized that we were onto a great thing. And we started launching antiviral masks, antiviral fabrics for protective wear, particularly for the frontline COVID warriors. And last but not the least, to keep your minds open and explore new ideas, always be open to new ways of thinking, because the new world requires new skills. And the only way you can prepare a large organization for this is by ensuring that you're constantly working on skilling and reskilling of your employees. There are many things that you have to teach them not to do in future, but there are far more things that you've got to teach them how to go ahead in the future. Like David mentioned, you know, maybe not everyone was used to a smartphone. Maybe not everyone was used to ever working from home. And, this paradigm of, work-life balance has actually gone for a 6 during this pandemic. And there are many people who are sort of fed up working from home. And working from home is not a bed of roses. Many people actually end up working far longer hours than they ever worked in an office, even though your transit and commute have gone. So I think this balancing of the work and life is something which is very interesting in the new normal. And last but not the least, I think one has to understand that in a situation like this, most of the time we do not know what are the fights what is going on in different people's lives, and what are the ghosts they are fighting, and what are the kind of challenges they are coping with. It could be health, it could be wellness, it could be aged parents, it could be young children. So most of the time you do not really know, working in a remote fashion with not so much access to your colleagues and your employees, that what are the challenges they're each going through. So I think the need to be very, very empathetic, and the need to, be far more mindful is probably one of the mindsets that is going to be very, very crucial. In fact, there are 3 things. And since we are all a community of coaches, by and large, I would say that, 3 things that I've been talking on for a couple of years, and seems most relevant in the current times, is that if all of us, not just as coaches, but as individuals, and as leaders, are able to practice, which is mindfulness, active listening, and suspending judgment. If we are able to do all of these 3, not only will we be successful as leaders, we will surely be better human beings with greater empathy, greater understanding, greater ability to listen to people in a situation like this, understand the demons each one is fighting, and be able to respond to people in a much better way. So I think these are the kind of mindset changes, behavior changes that I would encourage will help us in this new normal that we are getting used to now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. What about the others? Would you like to add to what is the mindset? Where do you think you're successful today? Why are you all, where you are today in spite of all that you've gone through?
Dali, I think Thomas already summarized everything. I echo all of them. but if there's something that I would like to emphasize, I think it's the mindset of, letting go of your old self that is no longer applicable, that is no longer relevant during these times. Letting go of the hurts, the pains, disappointments, frustrations, and ready to embrace something new, something different, something radical. Because if you spend time dwelling on those negative thoughts, negative emotions, then you lose sight of the opportunities that each day is offering us. Yes. So yeah, that's the mindset that helped me actually all throughout these 9 months.
Yes, letting go, yes. That's so important to move on in life. Gary, Edwin, David, Gyok, and if you want to add to what Thomas and Julius have shared. Yes, Gary.
I think in this age of change and disruption, agility is a key competence. You need to demonstrate nimbleness and flexibility in living with disruption. For example, when live workshops are impossible, you must act quickly in going digital. When MNCs are struggling with their business and budget, you need to shift your focus to local firms. When manufacturing sectors or traditional industries suffer, you need to increase your engagement with industries and companies which are not seriously impacted or even benefit from the pandemic. For example, global farmers, medical device companies, and internet companies, they all sort of benefit from pandemic. And they are companies, with resources. So in this year, we have been very successful with a few global farmer clients. Without new engagement with them, I think that our business will be in a much worse shape. So one of the two decisions that we made this year, which have proved correct, is one of it is a digital virtual ACTP program. So we have been very successful in offering our live ACSTH program in partnership with a Sydney-based company. But now with pandemic, we can't offer this program. So we shift our strategy and launched our first ever ACTP program in partnership with Dr. Sherry Carter-Scott, based in Thailand. And the success of this program has not only helped offset losses in the other live programs, but also help strengthen our brands as a market leader, as a thought leader in this industry and in this market. And the other decision we made is to organize the 5th China Executive Coaching Conference in a live format. Even though most of the team really doubted whether it would be doable, at the beginning. And the conference ended up as one of the most successful, with raving reviews from the participants, thanks to our strong lineup of the speakers, thanks to our innovative conference design. So we renewed many relationships with clients. We got new orders, and we are encouraged that in 2 years' time we are going to do a more successful conference. So to make things simpler, in this age of change and disruption, it's necessary for all organizations to make change and disruption a core strategy. It's not a fancy word, to talk about. It has to be part of the DNA. It has to be, part of the organizational design.
Thank you, Gary. And I think that's so important. That is so important what you've said about agility.
Thank you, Dolly.
Edwin? Yeah, Edwin,
Yeah,
David? Edwin, yes.
I just have something to add. I think, like what Thomas, Julius, and Gary say, all the competency, the right attitudes that we need. I think that is all very, very relevant. But to me, what comes up in this pandemic or during this difficult time is, because we have been talking about change, to be flexible, it is very easier to say than done. Okay, to me, in this difficult time, I think what I see is people are more receptive to change. Okay, because now it is in your face, in front of you. You have to change, otherwise you will be, out of the industry, out of business. Okay, so to me, yes, we have all the mindset, but what I'm trying to say is this pandemic actually creates a very good opportunity for every one of us to realize, yes, change is the only constant, and it's necessary, and it's actually not so painful. Okay, I think with the right attitude, with the right support from the organization, from the management, okay, we can change and we can come up stronger. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you. And I like what you said about with the right support. Sometimes in moving ahead, we forget that there are people around us, and our support can make that crucial difference to take people along with us. Thank you, Edwin. David, Gyok, do you want to add, or shall I go on to the next question?
Well, I just to bounce back on what was said, I would just emphasize on that the change for us is needed, and obviously we're exposed to the need of making this change happen. But we always have to remember that we have to get our team on board, and we got to get everyone to understand that change is a necessity, because this evolution requires people to also get different skills and get to change their approach, and the fact that sometimes we often relate to a comfort zone as a space where people also can be working effectively. We have to get everyone to understand that shifting this comfort zone is not necessarily a bad thing, but most importantly, we need to make it happen and make sure that this transition is done in a way people can still relate to their contribution to this common effort.
Thank you, David. Gyok, do you have something to add?
Well, amidst all the various things that the other panelists have said, I totally agree on all of them, especially the agility, open-mindedness, changes, etc. Personally, I constantly have to remind myself as well to balance all these with a clear vision of my business. Because right now, with a lot of information on the social media, I can see every competitor of mine, what exactly they are doing. And sometimes it makes me want to react. And by doing that, it would then mean I will lack that clear vision for my business, the originality, my brand identity, and my company values if I move and react according to what people are doing. So I constantly have to remind myself to be selective. What do I change? What do I adapt to? So that I don't create more confusion for my customers and ultimately losing my brand appeal.
Thank you. Wonderful. And it reminds me of a quote which says, if you don't know where you're going, you may end up somewhere else. So yes, the vision is very important. Thank you, Gyok. Thank you. This question that I'm going to ask, especially for Thomas, Edwin, and David, and Gyok, and that is, and I'm sure all the coaches here are waiting to hear your response. We would like to know that when you look at L&D professionals or trainers or coaches, what are some things that you are looking for? What sort of, what are the competencies? What are the skills? What kind of accreditation? What are you looking for when you look at professionals who will help your leaders to do better, who will help people in your organization to actualize better and perform better? What are you looking for in these individuals?
I'll go first if that's okay.
Absolutely.
So first is, I think, very clearly HR and L&D leaders have a very major role to play as business partners, particularly to ensure that the employees give their best in spite of the various challenges confronting them. It is very clearly the time to skill and reskill the talent pool and identify people who are willing to go beyond the call of duty, walk the extra mile, and ensure that they deliver. I think I like the point that Gyok Lin talked about, is that in all this, we must also understand what is the alignment of the organizational purpose and the organizational vision with what people are doing. You should never lose sight of that. And of course, ensure that the values of the organization are never compromised. They should always remain an anchor, even if the way of working has changed, if the way of working has changed from working in offices with colleagues to working remotely. I did mention on several occasions during my talk today as to how important agility and nimbleness is. And I think that point was very well brought about by one of the speakers. And I think, thinking on your feet and encouraging people. And that's why I said we are encouraging people to even do things, even at the cost of mistakes, because speed is an essence now. And in the digital world, it becomes very, very crucial to respond fast. And particularly since it's e-commerce and social media, which is being used by for digital marketing and advertising and promotion, it becomes so important to be able to react and react in a timely way. So agility, nimbleness, speed of response becomes very, very crucial. How do the HR and L&D leaders actually help you think on your feet, hone your strengths? Because like David said, a lot of people are outside their comfort zone. And it was also mentioned by one of the other speakers who said that many things are easier said than done. But I think very, very important to ensure people to play to their strengths and to see how, even at the cost of mistakes, you move ahead. And of course, you continuously learn from your mistakes. And I think sustainability will come when it becomes more or less an organizational movement. Having said this, we can't have an organization full of risk takers. So, you will have to balance with an organization which has got a good mix of risk takers and also people who are the foot soldiers who are keeping the momentum on. And I think, a combination of this, a fine balance of this will really, really make a big difference. This is what I feel is the role of HR, how it can hone these skills, how it can, contribute more and more going forward.
Thank you, Thomas. And with all the things that you expect from the business, you had mentioned about how you would like credibility, so integrity of the person, alignment with the values of the organization. Edwin and David, what would you look for in your HR professional? What would you look for in a coach if you're going to recruit one for your organization? I'm putting it as bluntly as that. What are some skills or what are some mindsets you would look for? Any? Edwin?
Okay, thank you. To me, I think to me there are two parts of it under the current situation. Okay, one part, of course, is the upskilling of the specific skill of what you are doing currently in the organization. Like I mentioned earlier, the teachers, how can you teach more effectively online? How can you master the technology of teaching online? Okay, like in some other businesses like the property development, how do we build a more affordable home, okay, at a lower cost, maximize our profit, and etc. That is one aspect of it. That is on a very specific skill set. I think the other aspect in the HR and all these L&D coaches is the because I think we are all very tired in some way, okay, because of the pandemic, because of the uncertainty, because of the changes that comes that we need to react to almost every day or very frequently because of new regulation from the government, new regulation and all this and lockdown and everything. I think we are all very tired, okay. And what the other aspect that is very important is I guess it was mentioned earlier, is the mental health of the employee. Okay. Yes, as I mentioned, now we realize we have to change because of all the circumstances, but I guess we also sometimes have our limitation, our limits on how far we can go. Okay. I guess what's very important now is I think from the HR side is support in terms of the on the mental health. Okay, how we can continue to motivate the staff. Okay, to continue to be vigilant, to be adaptable. Okay, to look at change positively rather than get so tired and get so frustrated with the change. And like Thomas says, it is a fast changing world. Decision needs to be made very fast. Okay, decision might be wrong. Okay, we don't know. So if we are wrong, make a wrong decision, it's okay. Okay, we can learn from it and move on. But it's the process. Okay, I think it's the process of making the wrong decision and how can we, learn from it and then move on. That is the difficult part. And I guess in the organization I am in now, I think this is a very crucial thing that we need to instill on.
Thank you, David. Edwin, and I think it's good news for all of us out here, because what you're clearly saying is that, of course, there's a need for upskilling employees, but you are looking beyond that towards actually building employees, building their inner resilience, building them to perform better, and that's a job for coaches. So thank you for that, Edwin. David, would you like to add something, or? Yeah.
Well, it was well summarized by Edwin just now. I think it's all about the process of changing, and I believe that the role of coaches in this is key. We were talking about support earlier from management, to get to shift the mindset and habits. And I think that we need this kind of support from someone neutral, someone who has also a different background, who has a different level of empathy as well, in doing this active listening, as Thomas was saying earlier as well. And I think that this process at the end is something that needs to be, I would say, subcontracted. No, but because we all have our role to play in this, but we need I think this neutrality also as part of this process.
Fantastic. And what I'm hearing you say is that managements need sounding boards, and that's a role that is there for, yeah, thank you. One quick question to Julius and Gary, if you're here. Any advice to coaches in terms of how they can build their business during these times and, be successful? Any quick advice? We have about a couple of minutes. Yeah.
Yes. This is based on my 20 years of experience, and not just based on my experience during this time of pandemic. And my advice is that, anchor everything that you do to your noble intentions. If your heart is in the right place, everything else will follow. If, you anchor everything to your purpose and mission, and if you do help people coming from genuine concern, then the financial reward will be a natural consequence. Our profession is missional more than anything else.
Yes.
So that's the first advice. Second advice is, continuously learn about yourself and continuously learn new things for yourself. Because when we learn, we expand our horizon. And when we expand our horizon, it will also expand our capacity to help our coaches, our clients see infinite possibilities for themselves. Lastly is really discovering more about yourself, learning more about your potentials, your hidden talents, your strengths, because when you continuously learn about your capabilities, then you can make use of this moving forward, and you will be successful in your career.
Thank you, Julius.
Thank you, Dali.
Thank you. Gary?
Yes.
Would you like to add to what Julius
said? Two pieces of advice from my side. First, be a role model for growth mindset. in this world of increasing confusion, frustration, and stress, we as coaches and leaders have to breathe positivity and strive to inspire others for hope and perseverance. How do we do it? We read more, learn more, inspire more, share more, and be more by being a runner, a jogger, a meditator, a yoga practitioner, a gym goer, and a generous giver. Giving more of your time and more of your intention to others in doubts and panic. Finding your own true north, be more mission driven, and seeking our inner strengths before we coach and inspire others. The other thing that in face of increasing competition, it's important to select and build your core area of expertise, which will make you a better known and more respected experts in one of the areas, such as CEO coaching, team coaching, executive presence, resilience, high performance leadership team, mid-career crisis or challenge, coach training, women leadership, and executive success in professional service firms, and so on. You can choose one of the areas for your continued effort. So this focusing of your specialized area will help you define your own passion, your chosen anchor, and your source of strength and credibility. As we know that to define and to belong and for this recognized area will require that deliberate practice and personal branding. So my suggestion is to hire a coach for developing and increasing your clarity about who really you are, what is your passion, and what will be your anchor and what will be your core over time, to work us on. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we've come to the end. We don't have more time. It's been fantastic being with all of you. Thomas, Yok, Edwin, David, Gary, Julius. I'm privileged and honored to be on this session with all of you all. And ultimately what I learn is we come back to the basic questions: who we are, where we come from, and where do we want to go. I hope the session was as exciting and as learning as for all of you as it was for me. Thank you very much. I understand we have a group picture.
Thank you, Donnie, and thanks everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Please stay on. Please stay on. Don't go away. We're taking a group picture and Michelle is going to do that. So please get your best face forward and let's have a nice group picture.